Welcome to The Record Show, your virtual spin around the vinyl industry. Brought to you by Radio Wasteland Records. Yes, Midland has a record store. Here's your host, Jim Gleason.
Greetings from the Wasteland and welcome to another edition of The Record Show. We've got yet another cool one headed your way today. We'll get caught up on all of this week's new releases, but Ken is off, so I'll have to handle those myself coming up in a little bit. We'll ask whether or not there are some changes on the way for Record Store Day, and we've got a spin from the Wasteland that just may be a problem for some of you with chlorophobia. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about one of this week's most anticipated releases, that being the Billie Eilish Happier Than Ever. It's supposed to be available on a brown indie exclusive version coming to stores like ours, as well as a black vinyl version, and then 2 color variations for each of the big box stores, Walmart and Target. But if you're planning to pick up the indie exclusive version at an independent record store near you, you might be in for a bit of a surprise. We got the news earlier this week that the release was being termed a security release, high security, meaning that the labels were not going to ship them until arrival time for the Friday release. Basically meaning they didn't trust the smaller stores to not sell them if they got them early. Now the big box stores will have theirs, I'm quite certain, right at midnight, especially those stores that are open 24/7. But for a store like ours, that means that we're not going to get our shipment on Friday until that shows up, usually about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Again, not a big deal, but we don't get a head start like other folks tend to do from time to time. Secondly, we also heard this week that the labels had informed our distributors that the indie exclusive release would be strictly and severely rationed, meaning that our distributors got about 1/4 of their allotment for that vinyl release of the Billie Eilish album. That then trickles down to stores like ours, meaning that we're getting nowhere near what we had asked for. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because this is happening more and more often with these major releases from big stars. Way earlier in the year, we had dealt with the Greta Van Fleet release not showing up until a month or 2 after, as far as the white vinyl indie exclusive goes. Then about a month ago, we had the delay with the Taylor Swift album, again, hurting the independent stores in that indie exclusive release. So unfortunately, I really think we're starting to see a pattern here with these major releases being delayed to smaller independent stores. And again, I don't mean to knock the big box, but I don't believe that there's any shortage whatsoever as far as their supplies go. Now, I've talked with other independent record store owners in our area about this, down in Flint at Electric Crown, in Saginaw at Audio Gazing, and we all kind of agree that, it's a little too much of a coincidence that this keeps happening with these releases. And I don't mean to spread conspiracy theories about this, but it really seems as if the big corporation record labels are scratching the backs of the big corporation box stores to make sure they get a little bit of an edge. Now, I'm not complaining that big box stores sell vinyl. It's competition. They're going to do what they're going to do. I would just like there to be as much of a fair shake for the small stores like ours as possible. Knowing that there's no way that we can ever compete with the volume of that or buy directly from the labels, it would be nice to be able to have whatever little bit of an edge that we can have. But the end result of this, not just the folks that had pre-ordered these indie exclusives not getting them on time, or possibly not at all, or maybe just saying, screw it, I'll go get one at the big box store, is the fact that we, being the independent record store owners, are now less likely to order these types of releases in the future. I know that with Billie Eilish, I kind of had an inkling that something was going to happen, so I really only ordered as much as were pre-ordered through the store, maybe 1 or 2 extra copies. Now I'm getting much fewer than them, and I'm worried that we're not going to be able to even meet our pre-orders. And to be fair, our distributor said, hey, there's plenty of black vinyl versions to go around out there as well. But I'm not going to bother with that. So the next time there is a major artist releasing a major release, and we know that there's going to be color variants at the big box stores, we little stores are less likely, and personally speaking, I will be less likely to even bother ordering any of that release at all. We're going to stick with what we know with the more indie stuff and, quite frankly, the used vinyl. And again, I'm not knocking the fact that the big box stores are selling vinyl. They're going to do what they're going to do. We're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to continue to do our best to do that. In fact, I saw a clip on YouTube from Noble Records where they were talking about big box stores and how it doesn't have that much of an effect on smaller indie stores. And I guess I'd have to agree. Yes, it's annoying to see people post, oh, I bought this at Walmart or I bought this at Target. But there's also those posts saying, I found this tremendously unique item that I couldn't find anywhere else at Radio Wasteland Records. And I'm okay with that. It's just that you as a consumer need to make up your mind, we're going to support these. I'm going to go where I can get the vinyl, whether it be the big box or whether it be a small indie store. All I'm asking in the outset of this is that the labels just be upfront with us. Don't whiz on us from above and tell us it's raining. Just say we want to make sure that the big box stores sell their tens of thousands of copies before you guys get a chance to. That's all I ask. Be upfront with us. Don't screw us over like that anymore, big labels. It's just a better thing all around if we're upfront with everybody, including our customers. Because it's tough for me to say, hey, I know you pre-ordered this, but they're not going to get it in time because our customers are probably going to go elsewhere to get it. And then that makes us look like, well, sorry, we couldn't get it because we're too small. And that's not a cool thing to do. Okay, now that I've got that vent out of the way, let's look at this week's new releases. Ken can't be here, so I'm going to handle everything myself. And there are quite a few cool things coming out regardless. Now, the Billie Eilish, as mentioned, if you weren't paying attention, is going to be strictly rationed as far as the brown indie exclusive version goes. You may be able to find some here and there at the bigger stores, and the smaller stores may even have a few, but the black vinyl version is probably going to be more likely to be available, as well as the color variations at your big box stores. But the other big release this week is from Prince. It is the issue of Welcome to America. There's a couple of different versions on this. This is an album that Prince recorded in 2010 before he died, but mysteriously abandoned the project at some point. No one really knows why, but now his estate has gone through to release this album in its entirety. The two versions that are out there include a double LP set. It's got 3 sides of music and then a 4th side etching. But there's also a super deluxe box set because, of course, it's Prince. There's going to be a super deluxe box set that has both of those LPs, 1 CD, and a Blu-ray video on there as well. Now, the Blu-ray is a full performance from Prince's 2011 a live performance in Los Angeles. This also includes a 32-page booklet, a poster, and what they're calling other memorabilia. Again, that's a big, big get. Costs a little bit more, but for Prince fans, that's probably a really cool thing to have. Other really cool stuff this week includes the Specials, a reissue of Ghost Town, some legendary ska stuff for you fans out there. It's on black and white splatter vinyl, and that is a limited edition. There's also a Halloween release. It's a self-titled Halloween, brand new stuff from them on double LP gold vinyl. And now something us Michigan folks really can enjoy. The Electric Six are releasing a new album. Detroit's own, I don't know if you want to call them punk or whatever, but they're a fun group. Electric Six, and this is called Streets of Gold, double LP. And our information says that it is a high-octane collection of cover songs handpicked by Electric Six itself that showcases the band's eclectic and excellent musical tastes, highlighted by Alice Cooper, INXS, Rocky Erickson, James Ingram, the Pixies, Love, and many more. So there are some way cool covers on there by Electric Six. Check them out if you get a chance. And finally this week, there is an Aretha Franklin double LP set coming out. It's got 20 tracks. And those are the highlights from the also being released mega huge Aretha Franklin box set. So if you're looking for the CD box set, you'll be able to probably order that from or find it at other independent stores. But here we're going to have the double LP version of that with just the pared down version of those. So check it out. Get out to your local independent record store for all of this week's new stuff. Ken will be back next week, and we'll check in then for all of that week's cool stuff coming up. So earlier this week, I got an email from the Record Store Day people. Probably not supposed to talk about it, but hey. And in that email was a survey asking record store owners what they thought the future of the Record Store Day days should be like. We're coming off of 2020 and 2021, where respectively we had 3 drops, again, delayed from the pandemic. In 2020, as you'll remember, they did these drops in July, August, September, and October. I'm getting it right here, confused. Trying to remember what I had for breakfast. But then in 2021, they moved the April date to 2 drops in June and July. The July one we just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. So now it looks like the Record Store Day organization is trying to decide whether or not this idea of drops in place of a single day is going to be something that they would do in the future. Traditionally, as you may remember, Record Store Day is in April, and then there is a secondary Record Store Day on Black Friday. They call it Black Friday, not meant to be the same as Record Store Day in April proper, but really more of a carry forward of releases for the holiday shopping season. So I'm a little at odds here because as a store owner, again, I like to have that in one day at one point in time because it's a big event. We can plan around it. We can get live music. We can do giveaways, and we're over and done. Other benefits of having Record Store Day on one day in April is that we hit folks before the summer tourist season, the summer vacation season begins. So that's a good argument to keep it as one day in April. Now, the other side of that coin, again, speaking as a record store owner, is that splitting that day up into 2 or 3 drops means that we get to split our purchases up into 2 or 3 big purchases instead of one extra large, skin of your teeth, hold on tight, can we do this type of day. So personally speaking, I like the idea of Record Store Day on one day in April, maybe May, but even then we're getting a little too close to summer. But the idea of drops is also, as I said, beneficial because we can spread those days out. From our customers, I'm hearing a lot of different things as well. There are those that really do like the one day, especially because that means if I'm going to sit in line overnight, I want to do it one time, not 3 months in a row. It gets a little old after a while. But also the fact that too much of a good thing, if you're pounding these releases out once a month, for 2 or 3 drops, that can get a little tiresome. And I think that loses a little bit of the sparkle, if you will, of having an event on one day in April. So we're going to fill the survey out. I asked our customers to let us know. If you'd like to let us know in the comments below what your opinion on the Record Store Day layout is. Should it stay one day in April? Should it be a series of 2 or 3 drops set throughout the year to spread that out? Let me know in the comments below. And we'll get our survey in with our opinion on that as well. Now we need to get through Black Friday first. That is going to be the one-day event. But as for 2022, we'll just have to wait and see whether or not that happens in April. And finally today, our spin from the Wasteland takes us to the western side of Michigan, but may not be appropriate for those of you with a fear of clowns. We've got a copy of Big Noise from Scottville, the Scottville Clown Band. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this is a group that has existed in one way, shape, or form since the early 1900s. Now, the clown band's roots date back, as I said, to the early 1900s. It's when a group of Scottville businessmen got together, dressed up as hillbillies, and began entertaining at local carnivals. As the popularity grew, the costumes grew more clown-like, and the band's infamy spread. Now, the town of Scottville is located just east of Ludington, near the shores of Lake Michigan. It's a small town, and very few of the members of the clown band are actually from that area. The rest come from all over Michigan, and some from around the country. Now, this album was released in 1981, and it has a lot of big band, jazz, marching music, stuff you'd expect from a clown band. Now, after 120 some years, the Scottville Clown Band is still in existence today. The pandemic, of course, did put a bit of a damper on their performances for the past year and a half, but they are finally getting back out there to entertain folks with their unique brand of clowning around music. Thanks for watching The Record Show. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Radio Wasteland Records YouTube channel. And be sure to hit that notifications bell so you'll be alerted every time we upload new content.